Hey guys, I'm taking a quick break from working on my Season 1 review today with another theory. Now I've got to admit right off the bat that unlike my Blue Wizard theory, I highly doubt this one will turn out to be true. But it's a super interesting theory that would indeed be pretty surprising, so I thought it was worth sharing. Now a quick shout out to Corey from Rings and Realms who introduced me to the main premise of this particular theory that we're going to run with today. So obviously one of the big moments from the season finale of Rings of Power was the reveal that Halbrand was Sauron. I had kind of been expecting this ever since the Númenórean prison cell scene with Galadriel, where he talks about how to manipulate your enemies in the exact way Sauron uses throughout the Second Age. Even so, I was still pulling for him to become the Witch King or potentially the King of the Dead. Now if this theory holds true, that possibility could still be on the table. Looking back at episode 7, it's revealed that in the aftermath of Mount Doom's eruption, Halbrand was discovered with a gaping wound in his side. Even at the time, it seemed odd that Halbrand's discovery was completely off camera. While this is widely expected to be a simple matter of Sauron posing with a near-fatal wound, and it totally is, the theory says there is far more to this moment. The theory goes that prior to this moment, every time we've seen Halbrand has been the true Halbrand. The encounter on the raft, the time in Númenor, including this shot of him smiling at kids playing, and the events of the battle in Befordor are all an actual mortal man. Then, in the chaos that ensues after the destruction of Mount Doom, Sauron poses as Halbrand in order to infiltrate the elves. Some have even gone so far as to theorize that Sauron comes across the real Halbrand and is able to read his memories, giving him the information he needs to impersonate Halbrand and manipulate both the Númenóreans and Galadriel. And if the real Halbrand were dead, it would also make the statement about taking the pouch off a dead man just as true. So Sauron poses as Halbrand, is discovered by the Númenóreans, and is taken on horseback from Mordor to Eregion. Now let's pause the theory real quick to nerd out on some numbers. I've seen a lot of folks comment on the fact that Galadriel and Halbrand cover 500 miles while he's allegedly dying. And I just have to correct one thing. It's actually more, like quite a bit more. We know from the Lord of the Rings that when Boromir makes the journey from Minas Tirith to Rivendell, he covers a distance of roughly 1,200 miles. If we subtract the roughly 400 miles we know lies between Rivendell and the crossing of Tharbad, we are left with 800 miles, plus whatever mileage lies between the future site of Minas Tirith and Galadriel and Halbrand's starting point within Mordor. Okay, so map nerdery aside, let's get back to the theory. So if there were indeed an actual human named Halbrand, how would this play out? Personally, I think the most compelling way to reveal this has likely already passed. Cutting back and forth between, say, Isildur coming across Halbrand's body and Galadriel confronting Sauron in Eregion might have been a cool way to do this reveal, in my opinion. You could totally go either way, whether Isildur discovers Halbrand alive or dead, and it still works as a dramatic moment. Alive, of course, leaves the door open for him to be someone like the Witch King down the road. And honestly, it's the lack of such a reveal that makes me all but certain this isn't the case. It would have simply been too good of a revelation to omit or put off to Season 2. I think it's far more likely that Halbrand was Sauron all along, and that he's on the raft for unknown reasons and all his opportunities to manipulate people stems from Galadriel pushing him to retake Mordor. Though I must also add that if there were a real human Halbrand still out there, it would be interesting as he is effectively banned from associating with the elves because of Sauron. A Halbrand who has done nothing wrong, being outcast by those he expected to be his allies, could make for a tragic arc, leading him to accept a ring of power from the very person who posed as him. Looking ahead, I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with Sauron as a character. With his cover blown, there's no real reason for him to maintain his Halbrand form, especially if he's going back to Eregion in order to forge the other 16 rings of power, which I think absolutely has to happen in Season 2. Part of me imagines Sauron just showing up as Halbrand with pointy ears and a blonde wig trying to fool everyone. It definitely makes me think they'll have to bring on a new actor in order to give us Anatar. Even then, I'm struggling to see the justification for the elves wanting to create more rings of power now that they've got their 3 mithril-chlorian rings. let alone why they would need Anatar's help, having created the 3 most powerful rings on their own without him. I guess we'll see how it all shakes out in a couple years. In the meantime, let me know what you think of this 2 Halbrands theory. And what do you think they'll do in Season 2 regarding Sauron, Anatar, Halbrand, and the remaining 16 rings? Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, I want to say a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters who make this channel possible. Tom DeBombadil 19, Listen Me the Cinda, Kella Brimbor, The Mighty Mim, Team Weasel, Rabbi Rob Thomas, Charles Leisure, Toby Mobs Music, CCDC Red Team, Nerd Sidgeman Anytimer, Pelkey Sports Cards, Mookie the Brown, Christopher Carbaugh, Joe Tepper, Sky Carcass, Slide Belts, Dane Ragnarsson, Salim Rahman, Zetrock, Berto Berg, Grand Strategy Nerd, Graham Darricott, The Dark-Haired One, Wyland, Michael Wu, and Debbie. If you enjoyed the artwork in this video, check out the artists in the description and purchase prints of their great work for yourself. Thanks so much for watching and subscribing, and we'll see you next time on Nerd of the Rings.